Hello and welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking about creating meaningful educational experiences, and I'm Trista Sears, and I will be the host of the web conference for this evening. So to make the most of tonight's web conference, please turn off your phone, close your door, and let those around you know that you will be unavailable for a while. So you've seen this slide before when you first came into the web conference, but just go ahead and check that your camera is on, that your microphone is working but muted, that you can see the annotation toolbar. It's a little squiggly line at the top of your screen, that you can see the other participants, and that you can view the chat. If you can see all of those things, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, great. So I'm going to do a quick quality check to make sure that I have everything set up correctly. My slides are advancing. My camera and microphone are on. It is recording. And I can see my annotation tools, and I have the breakout rooms enabled. So if you are unable to attend the live broadcast of the webinar, please use the Web Conference 3 asynchronous option worksheet that's found in Pilot. And once you've completed the webinar and the worksheet, upload that file to the assignment with the same name in Pilot, Web Conference 3 asynchronous option. After completing this webinar, you will be able to define and describe social presence, define and describe cognitive presence, define and describe teaching presence, and identify and explain ways in which social, cognitive, and teaching presence creates meaningful educational experiences. So we're going to do a quick poll, and I'm going to have you use the emoticons at the bottom of your screen to respond to the following question. I have heard of the Community of Inquiry Framework. If you have, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, give me a thumbs down. And if you're not sure, go ahead and give me that surprised looking face. Right, great. It looks like both of you have heard of the Community of Inquiry Framework. According to Garrison, the Community of Inquiry Framework is a collaborative and constructive approach to thinking and learning that is made up of the social, cognitive, and teaching presences. The teaching presence is the leadership of the learning community that helps keep the group on topic and functioning efficiently. This presence designs the learning environment and may provide direct instruction, although that is not necessary. The teaching presence should not be considered the teacher presence. Those are two very different things, but the teaching presence is essential for learning and student satisfaction. So I'm going to answer a quick question about teaching presence, and I'm going to have you use the arrow in the annotation tools to respond to the question. Teaching presence, A, requires leadership, B, keeps the community functioning effectively, C, may provide direct instruction, or D, all of the above. Go ahead and answer. Yes, that is correct. D, all of the above. Cognitive presence is where thinking and learning occur. This is where we do the deep work of constructing meaning of our experiences. Garrison believes that this presence is two-dimensional and operates on the continuums of personal versus shared experience and reflection versus discourse. So let's look at a quick question on cognitive presence. So go ahead and use the circle and the shapes tools to respond. Which of the following is not true of cognitive presence? A, it is where we construct meaning. B, it exists on a continuum, personal and shared. C, it exists on the continuum, reflection and discourse. Or D, it exists in a vacuum. That is correct. D, it exists in a vacuum. Social presence is the ability of individuals to identify with the purpose of the group. It ensures that there is free and open communication. It does not focus primarily on personal relationships. Rather, it allows them to develop organically over time as the group moves through activities. So a quick question on social presence. I'm going to have you type your answers in the chat to this question. Social presence is not A, focused on group identity, B, focused on group purpose, C, focused on open communication, or D, primarily focused on Friday night plans. This is what social presence is not. Carly's answer and Tesneem's. Great, you both got the answer correct. It is D. Social presence is not primarily focused on Friday night plans. Garrison indicates that all elements of the community of inquiry framework are interrelated and dependent upon each other for the creation of meaningful learning environments. In a few minutes, we're going to complete a case study applying the concepts of teaching, cognitive, and social presence. This table shows the presence with an activity associated with that presence. There are many more ways in which each of these presences can be expressed, but I've selected just a few to simplify the activity. For teaching presence, we're going to consider direct instruction. For cognitive presence, we're going to look at applying new ideas. And for social presence, we're going to look at open communication. So in the next slide, I'm going to walk you through an example of what you'll be expected to do. Your case study will look very much like this slide here, and you'll fill in activities as they relate to the topic that you will be given. Topics will vary between the breakout rooms, so everybody will be presenting on something different. We learned that all of the presences, the teaching, the cognitive, and the social presence, are interconnected and overlap to a degree. So it's okay if the activity that you give covers more than one of these elements or presences. So let's work through an example. The topic for this example is the solar system. So if we look at the presences, an activity related to teaching presence would be to lecture on the definition of a planet and the planets in our solar system. We know that social presence can flow from cognitive and teaching presence, so we're going to have our students complete a small group activity in which they create a model of the solar system using the information that they gained from the lecture. So in a few seconds, I'm going to send you to breakout rooms for about 3 minutes, and then I'll return you to the sessions automatically with a 10-second warning to wrap things up. So the link to the case study is listed in the chat. And please only complete the case study for your group. While you're in the breakout rooms, complete the case study and choose a person to present your work to the group when we come back to the full session. If you're not attending this webinar live, please complete the case study that is listed on the worksheet that you have been using as you move through the webinar. So the topics that each group will look at is Group 1 is going to look at technology. Group 2 is going to look at plants. Group 3, the brain. And Group 4, the circulatory system. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send you to the breakout rooms, and I will see you in about 3 minutes. Okay, it looks like everyone is back. Let me go ahead and share your answers. Okay, and if I could have one of you unmute and give a brief overview of your activities that you came up with.
So, go ahead, Carly.
No, you're fine. Go ahead, Tesneem.
Okay, so teaching presence, we just said that the teacher is going to demonstrate to the students how to use the technology herself. And then for cognitive and social, they would work in a group to complete a group project utilizing the technology that they just learned how to use.
Okay, that is a great, those are great activities to look at both the teaching, cognitive, and social presence. And I see you were able to combine both the cognitive and social presence with the one activity. And that just further reinforces that interrelatedness of all of the different presences. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Okay, go ahead and stop sharing and we'll go back to the presentation. So let's check in on our knowledge of the big ideas of this webinar using a 2-question Slido poll. We will answer one question and then we'll go over the answers. And then we'll answer the second question and then go over those answers as well. So for the first question, we are going to look at social, cognitive, and teaching presences that exist and operate singularly to create meaningful educational experiences. This is a true or false question. So I will open that poll now. You should see it in the right-hand corner of your screen. You can go ahead and respond. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. It looks like everybody has responded and everybody answered correctly. Social and cognitive and teaching presences exist and operate singularly to create meaningful educational experiences. That is false. Okay, so for our second question in the poll, this is a multiple choice question. So the community of inquiry is made up of A, social presence, B, physical presence, C, teaching presence, or D, cognitive presence. I will open up that poll and you'll be able to respond to that question. More than one answer may be correct. Okay, it looks like everybody has responded. So I'm going to close the poll, then we'll come back and talk about this. So everybody answered it correctly. The community of inquiry is made up of the social presence, the teaching presence, and the cognitive presence. So in summary, social, cognitive, and teaching presences do not exist in a vacuum. All of them must be present for meaningful experiences in education. If you would like more information on the topics that I covered today, here is the references that I used for this presentation. Thank you for attending. Does anybody have any questions?